Hello and welcome to another episode of He Says, She Says Film Reviews. I'm Dave G, and joining me here we have...
Luigi.
And tonight we're taking a look at a film that is in cinemas right now. It is Magic Mike's Last Dance, which actually sees director Steven Soderbergh return back to the franchise that he kicked off. And of course, the star of this is Shannon Tatum playing Mike Lane, the stripper who's become something as a bit of a phenomenon right across the world with the dance moves that he can do. And at the start of this film, he has actually given up stripping and he is now working as a bartender for hire at different events. And he finds himself at an event that is the fundraiser being held by a businesswoman called Maxandra Mendoza, played by Salma Hayek, who is in the middle of a kind of vicious divorce. She's very bored, and one of her friends tells her that she should do herself a favor and get Mike to dance for her. He does so, and as a result, she decides to take him to London and get him to reinvent a kind of boring theatre production that's running in her theatre, which she feels that he can completely revamp. And I'm sorry to say there's not much more to the story than that, because that's pretty much the entire story of what happens with Magic Mike's Last Dance. But Lee, I've got to ask, what did you think of this one?
Well, let me start with saying that Channing Tatum is, of course, a brilliant dancer. And the dance sequences are really good. There's enough dancing in there, of course, that keeps you entertained, and it's enjoyable to watch that dancing because it's beyond what someone in your normal life would be able to do. It is definitely a talent. The movie itself, though, I didn't think it had a strong enough storyline. I did like that he became a choreographer within the movie, that he wasn't just a stripper or dancer, that he did become a choreographer. I did actually like that storyline, but I just didn't feel that there was much more to the story. So it is not a deep story, I didn't feel. And so if you're looking for a deep story with a lot to it, this isn't it. If you just want a bit of fun, which a lot of these movies are, then you will probably enjoy it.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't enjoy this film. I was really surprised because one of the things that I loved about the first film, and I say that in a weird way because when I went to see the original Magic Mike, I kind of convinced myself that I wasn't going to like it when I walked into the cinema. Even though that I am a huge Steven Soderbergh fan, I love his work as a director. I love films like The Girlfriend Experience that he's made in the past, where he does these really kind of hard-hitting films, and he pulls out surprises. Of course, the big surprise for The Girlfriend Experience was that he cast a girl who had only ever worked as a porn actress in the lead role before, and it kind of shocked Hollywood because she could actually act. But he's always been one of those directors that kind of is a little bit out there. And when you look at his career, he's done the Ocean's 12, Ocean 13 movies. He did Erin Brockovich. So he's always kind of had this weird thing where he'll do a blockbuster kind of popularist film and then he'll go and do an art house kind of film. And that's something that he's made a career out of. And so when he did the original Magic Mike, I think everybody expected it to be a popcorn film, but it ended up being a film that had some really deep things to say about the sex industry and about stripping, and about how it can actually ruin people's lives that do it. They can get wrapped up into drugs. They fall in love with the lifestyle of making quick money and they burn through money really quickly. So it was kind of a cautionary tale of what can happen in that career. The second film followed along with that as well. So I was kind of expecting when I saw Steven Soderbergh back at the helm of this film that it was going to continue with that. But what I ended up getting was a Magic Mike film that felt like it could have been Step Up 36, because it just didn't have any of those deep storylines or anything in it. And there was parts of this where I felt like I was watching a Step Up movie, because it was just doing that whole thing where it's like, we're putting on a show, let's go and get the best dancers in the world. Even I thought the relationship between Salma Hayek and Shannon Tatum's characters, I didn't find that all that believable. Did you?
No, not at all. It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like they fit together. And I think that's probably something that put me off during the movie. That wasn't believable. And it almost, I don't know, within me, it kind of felt immoral only because it didn't feel natural. And that probably got in the way of me enjoying it more.
Yeah, I found myself when I was watching the movie, I was waiting for this moment when Steven Soderbergh turned everything upside down and started to have a serious point to the film. And when they first started talking about, Mike's going to revamp this theatre show and turn it into something different, I thought, this is going to be the moment. This is where Soderbergh's going to have something deep about film meeting theatre or something like that, or how people are closed-minded if somebody wants to shake up that theatre kind of thing. But it just never happened. And I found myself sitting there going, once they got to the actual production of the dance production, I suddenly realized, no, this is not going to get deeper. This really just is a popcorn movie. What did you think of the performances of Shannon Tatum and Salma Hayek? Because I even thought that Shannon Tatum has been trying to break out of these roles over the last few years and go for more serious roles like Dog that we saw last year. What did you think, seeing him go back to a film like this where it was kind of just Shannon's there for his body and nothing else?
Look, I think he did save this film when it comes down to it. His dancing is immaculate. He is a born dancer. And so, as I said before, I did enjoy the dance component of it, and Selma herself does some dancing in this. And while you can see that that's a talent, now I haven't looked into if there's been any stunt doubles or anything like that, so I'm unaware of whether there is any stunt doubles in this movie. But taking it face value for what I saw, Selma did a brilliant job in the dance moves. In terms of the acting in between, I just didn't feel like there was enough meat to the storyline, and so I kind of felt let down by the performances in between the dancing. And so it's not a movie I would watch again. But yeah, I guess there's many people that would just go for the dancing and not for the actual storyline, and that's okay, because that's what popcorn movies are. A bit of fun, enjoying those moments that you've gone for, and it's just a matter of whether you're looking for a deeper storyline or not.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that Salma Hayek was in this film as well, because she went through a real phase where she was making a lot of really good kind of deep, dramatic films, but then all of a sudden in the last 12 months, 2 years, we've seen her go back and be in The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. We saw her in the Marvel misfire that was Eternals. And really the only film that she's made in the last 12 months where I've been really impressed by was Puss in Boots, which of course she was just doing the voice for. So I was a little bit surprised to see her go back to this as well, when she's been she was kind of going down that Penelope Cruz role where she was getting into some serious film, but now she's stepped back into something like this, which I hate to say it, but I can see this getting some Golden Razzie nominations next year when it turns around to that time again. But I guess, what are you going to give this one out of 10 or out of 5? Sorry, because it's not a fun one to watch, or not for me anyway.
I will give it a 3 out of 5. I do appreciate the time and effort it takes to get ready for a role like that, regardless of how deep the storyline was or wasn't. And yeah, the immense amount of hours that would take to get your body in shape, and also to practice that choreography over and over again, and to get everything to look amazing. And I do enjoy dance in any movie, whether it's dancing and singing. I love that kind of aspect to a movie. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 because I did love that component.
I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5, just because I think the only bit that really saved it was the dance sequences. I thought once it actually got to that performance night with the dancers, some of them were amazing, and even the cinematography. There's one dance there where Shannon Tatum is dancing with a young dancer, and it's on a wet stage with water falling and everything like that. And I thought that was really well shot, but the rest of it was just a walking cliche of a movie. And like I said, I just can't believe that Steven Soderbergh directed this film, because it's so unlike what he normally directs. But that's it for this episode of He Says, She Says Film Reviews. Lee gave Magic Mike's Last Dance 3. I gave it 2. Secretly, I'm hoping that this is not his last dance, because I would love to see Steven Soderbergh come back and give us another decent Magic Mike film, because this was a little bit of a letdown. But that's it for this episode. I've been Dave G.
And I'm Lee G.
And we'll be back soon with another episode.